Well, hello. Here's a question for you. How much do you weigh? I know that in certain circles that would be considered an impolite question. But in RV circles, that's a very poignant question and one that every RVer should know the answer to. I'm going to explain to you why it's so important, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to get the answer. Come on, let me show you. So there was a point in my life when I lived in Manhattan, and in that point in time I was called the bag lady because I carried around an enormous handbag with me everywhere I went, like this one. That makes me very well versed in weight and loads and distribution, etc. So to run you through all of those things very quickly, weight is how much something weighs, like this bag. Load is the amount of stress that weight puts on a certain part, like my shoulder. Now, if I was smart, I would have taken this exceptionally heavy bag and I would have split the weight into two parts and carried two bags around with me. And by doing that, I would have been evening out my load so that I wasn't putting stress on one shoulder over the other. It's the same thing with your RV. You want to make sure that your axles are carrying the right amount of weight and that you're not putting stress on any one part of the RV. As we know, when you put stress on something, it will snap. So why should we care about all of this? Well, every vehicle comes with limits. If you exceed those limits, worst case scenario, it could be a huge safety hazard. Best case scenario, you could potentially looking at a lot of expense in damages, because if you exceed limits, something's probably going to break. So what you can do about it is to pay attention. Know your limits, know what your weights are, and you should be okay. The way to do that is a mathematical equation, and the way to work through that mathematical equation is to understand some of the acronyms that are used in the industry. They kind of sound like gobbledygook, but essentially it's a series of letters that once you remember what the letters stand for, it's pretty self-explanatory what all that terminology is. I'm going to walk you through it. So think about certain letters in the alphabet having meaning. G, in this instance, stands for gross, or you can think about that as being grand total. V stands for vehicle, pretty easy. W stands for weight, also pretty easy. A stands for axle, and R stands for rating, which in this instance references limits. So the first one that you're going to have to know what that number is your gross vehicle weight. That is the actual weight of your vehicle. And if you add an R to any of these things, it means that is the rating for any given acronym or term. The next number that you need to know is your UVW, which is your unloaded vehicle weight. This is sometimes referred to as dry weight, wet weight. It has many names. It's basically the weight that your manufacturer states the vehicle is at the time of delivery. Normally, this includes any kind of engine liquids, coolant, fuel, lubricant, that type of thing. Generally does not include the weight of any other liquids in your tanks, etc. The next important thing that you have to know is your gross axle weight. What this references is each axle is rated for a specific weight to be safe. You'll find that information out if you open the door. There is a big sticker on the side of the door, and all of that information is on the inside of the door. If you add an R to the end of this, that is your gross axle weight rating. This is what those axles are rated to bear. If you exceed that weight, you're asking for trouble. To get very nitpicky, one should really know what the independent left and right weight is over each wheel well. It's a little trickier to get that weight. There's specialized companies that can do it for you. For the purposes of what I wanted to find out, I just went with a main axle weight with the assumption that I was going to be pretty good about keeping my weight distribution relatively even. So to complicate things even more, there are other terminologies thrown about, such as CCC, which is cargo carrying capacity, OCC, which is occupant carrying capacity, etc. I have a little sheet that you guys are welcome to print out, and it walks you through figuring out mathematically, basically, how much stuff you can put in your vehicle, which is really what we all want to know. Let me show you the sheet. Welcome to my mobile office. Let's take a look at this worksheet. So here's the worksheet that I actually made up for a friend of mine, and I'm sharing it with all of you guys. It's pretty self-explanatory. I've listed the acronym meanings up here, and I have two different ways of computing your cargo carrying capacity, which is basically what you want to figure out. And depending on what information you have to utilize will determine which one of these methods that you use. I chose to use this one because I took the information off of the label on my vehicle, which gave me the OCCR, which is your occupancy and cargo carrying capacity. So for this computation, you start with that number, you subtract all of your liquid weights. In this case, I've got 3 tanks. I've got my cassette toilet. I just rounded my numbers out, so that was 5 gallons. My gray water, which is 23 gallons, and my fresh water, which is 30 gallons. Add those all together, multiply by 8.3. My grand total is 481 pounds. Propane comes in at 4.2 pounds per gallon. I have a 6 gallon propane tank, so that comes in at 25. Your human weight is normally the number of seat belts multiplied by 145. That seems to be industry standard. So for this vehicle, because I have 4 seat belts, that would come in at 580. You do have to add your tongue weight. If you're towing a vehicle, that tongue weight is part of your OCCR number. And for this vehicle, I believe I have a 200-pound tongue weight limit. So when I do all of the math, surprisingly, I only come up with 249 pounds. That's basically what I have available for food, clothing, and any other bits and pieces that I carry, like bicycles and barbecues and stuff. So not a whole lot of weight. Actually, it adds up super fast. In my instance, because I'm not towing anything, I feel fairly comfortable utilizing the total of that number as being 449. There's also a mathematical equation here to get your GCWR, which is your gross combined weight rating. I didn't talk about that earlier, but that is the weight of your vehicle plus the weight of anything that you're towing. The thing to note with towing is to figure out your towing capacity, the vehicle may have a towing capacity of a certain number, but your hitch may be rated for a different number. So basically, the amount that you can tow with any given vehicle is the lesser of either of those two numbers. Pretty simple. If you are just purchasing an RV, I highly recommend that the first thing you do is to go and get it weighed before you put anything in there, including water. This will give you a very true and accurate measurement as to what your unloaded vehicle weight is, and it will make it much easier for you to figure out just how much stuff you can put in your vehicle safely. If, however, you are in an RV and you have stuff in it already and you have not weighed it, I can't stress enough how important I think it is that you go and get your RV weighed. It's very important to be safe on the road, and that is the easiest way to ensure that you are as safe as you can be. Lucky for us, there is a very easy method to do this. So there's a company called CatScale. It's what a lot of truckers use to weigh their trucks, and they now have an app-based program which makes it super easy for RV owners to utilize the scales as well. So what you would do is you would go online to catscales.com and download their apps. I have two on my phone. One allows me to identify locations when I'm traveling. If I want to weigh the scale, it'll show me where the closest scale is. And the other app is the one that I used to register myself as a user. So I put all my information in. I made up a number for my truck. They don't really care. They just need an identifier. And I have a credit card on file. And so this is going to allow me at any given moment to go and get a weight on Betty and do it fairly simply. The app is very easy. They walk you through the process online. I'll show you a quick screenshot, but I'm not going to walk you through the process of actually registering. I will say that after you have done all of your weighing, they email you a receipt and it shows you all of that information. And here is a copy of my receipt that I got. And you can see that it shows me my front and rear axle weight. So let me show you what happened when I took Betty for her first weigh. All right, I see a sign that says scales. Let's go over there. So the location popped up on my app. There's nobody in the scale. And I am gonna just drive on in. Well, this doesn't get any easier. You want to get your one wheel on the first scale and your back wheel on the second scale. And then I'm going to park. So now we just go to the app. It's asking me if this is the right location. And I'm accepting. I'm putting reweigh because this is the second time I'm doing this. And a reweigh is not as expensive. And there's my weight. We are done. That was super easy. Okay, nothing to be worried about. I'm off. Bye. And there you have it. That's how easy it is to get the weight on your vehicle. Did you think I was going to wear these throughout the entire video? I don't think so. I hope you had fun. Till next time. Bye-bye. Even smarter when I lived in New York. I got a backpack. because by putting all of that weight in a central configuration, I was maximizing the distribution and creating far less stress on my entire body. The same thing is true when you pack your RV. You want to evenly distribute the weight and make sure that most of it is in the center so that you're not lopsided. Pretty simple, right?